I'm going to spill some secrets in this episode because I've decided to be more open about my psychic abilities, intuition, and that's because it's a superpower and I want to show you that you've also got these same powers within you. Some people say that psychics have the gift. I used to not have the gift until I learned how to read energy. I basically did a course, and I'm still so very grateful that I did this course because we can all read energy, and interpreting it is what makes you psychic, basically. So I want to tell you a few of my crazy psychic experiences, but also kind of reveal what is this world of intuition, of interpreting energy, messages, even a little bit of mediumship. I'm going to throw that in there as well because I also learned how to do that, which I couldn't do before. And it's super interesting if you want to tune in more to who you really are, be able to listen to your own inner guidance instead of the world around you, feel more secure within yourself, and also be able to decipher what is the universe speaking to you, what is your soul speaking to you, and what is actually bullshit and fluff and you being paranoid. Because there's a fine line, okay? And I know that from experience until I started to learn like what the difference was. There is a difference for sure. Mostly because our mind gets in the way of receiving messages. And that's the fun part. We get to train that if we want to really hone in on those abilities to channel messages for ourselves or for other people. So what I focus on in my business is teaching you how to channel messages for yourself, because other people have different perspectives on life and are in different stages of life, just like you are. And I think that the most pure advice that we can get is from our own inner wisdom. And I've received so many beautiful insights from my own inner wisdom. The mind is part of you, just like the soul is part of you. I believe personally, because I've experienced this, for example, with a mediumship, like when a person dies, their body dies, but the soul remains. And so when mediums are speaking to past loved ones, they are speaking to the soul of them. And that soul has a lot of wisdom. And that's what I teach you within my business. It's really grounded because I use EFT. It's like the practical stuff, right? To reprogram the mind, do the mindset work, get to what is blocking you from doing the things that you want to do, becoming the person that you want to be. But then on the other side, there is this part of yourself that is super wise, that loves you so much and wants the best for you. And sometimes the mind kind of gets in the way of you becoming the person that you want to be. Hence why I use EFT, but also why I use the soul as a guide for you. Because it's not the mind. It doesn't have the limiting beliefs. It doesn't have the limitations that other people put on it. Like the soul is free. The soul wants to experience life, play, and do all these beautiful things that you feel that is meant for you. That is your soul speaking to you. So if you're working with the soul, you're working with your life's purpose as well. And your life's purpose is not that deep. It's just you wanting to learn lessons, experience life, have fun. That is what the soul will teach you if you start to work with it, which is what I do. And it has changed my life completely because life becomes easier that way, because I'm not getting into the mind as much. I'm working with the soul to see what else is possible, to look beyond the limitations, right? And then I clear my limitations up with EFT. So that combination has worked so well for me. So that's why I wanted to tell you a little bit more about it. And I don't want to come across as some very woo-woo chick. Like, you can put me in the box for sure. And I've been like this very I want to say this kindly, but in spirituality, there are a few stigmatized types of people that use a lot of tools and like clothing to show that they, and words, that they are spiritual. In my world, everyone is spiritual because everyone has a soul, and spirit is soul. Spirituality is basically you having this life and learning, and whether you are tapped into your soul's wisdom or you just operate from the mind, that's up to you. I believe that some people are ready to live a soul-led life and some people are just not, and that's fine. So everyone is spiritual in a sense, right? So I want to keep this practical. I want you to feel empowered in this episode to learn that you can actually also live a soul-led life. If that's something that you're interested in, then you're at the right place. I'm very excited to share more about this, but it's also a little vulnerable because psychics and mediums get stigmatized, because if you haven't experienced something like it yourself, you're not really going to feel that it resonates with you, right? And I want to be very clear that that's totally okay. I used to not believe mediums when I was younger until I learned how to communicate with souls that have passed on. And now it's pretty normal to me. But I also know that some people are really scared of that. And I also want to educate in a way during this episode, because mediumship is something beautiful. And I don't use it a lot because I think that there's a time and place for messages like that to be given. So I gladly do it if I feel like it's right. I also want to give a disclaimer that I learned when I was learning how to communicate with past souls that have passed. And that is that the medium that is to be trusted, it has to give a lot of information about that person that is coming through. So the person like that's still here can really identify like, oh yeah, this is this person. And I know for sure that the medium could not know these things, right? So I think that one of the reasons that we're scared of this world is because some people don't really tap into those gifts, right? And I'm not saying that you should. If it's something that I was interested in, and that's something that I learned to do. And I love that I can use it to help other people get closure, right? So when you are channeling as a medium, you feel the person sending with you, and they are going to give you some information. And that information you can interpret. That's the reading energy part. And that's also what psychics do, but that works a little bit different. So mediumship is built around conveying a message that the soul that has passed wants to give the person that it's coming through for. And so a good medium will tell you probably how they passed, some characteristics that were very typically them, maybe some appearance-wise characteristic, like a watch that they always wore, or like a certain type of earrings, or just I usually get like the sentences that they said a lot. That's what makes the person in the living world recognize that it's really them. And so if you're ever wanting to consult a medium, make sure they give you enough proof that you for sure know that it is this person. And did you know that in England, being a medium is actually like a real profession? And so I do take it really seriously, because there are people that are really good at it and they really help people get closure. And I think it's beautiful that I, for example, can really communicate with my grandparents. My grandpa passed away, I think it's now 3 weeks ago, so very recent. And I miss him, but I also feel him in the spirit world, which is so valuable and so beautiful. And my grandmas, they were kind of my friends when I was younger. They passed when I was around 11, 12, but I still have them with me. They help me with life stuff as well. So that's pretty cool. So that is the mediumship part. I do include it when I am doing readings for other people, which is something that I'm now offering. But I love to do psychic readings. And so a psychic reading is quite different. It is also different from using your own inner wisdom. So psychic readings is actually tuning into another person's energy. So, for example, if you're sitting in front of me, I'm going to connect with your soul energy. And through doing that, I'm going to receive information. That is my intuition interpreting your energy and giving me through the 5 clairs. I've talked about this before. This is also the way that your soul communicates with you, but you can also interpret someone else's energy through the 5 clairs, and that's hearing, seeing, feeling, knowing, and smelling. So you will see images, you will feel certain feelings that resonate to another experience, or hear a certain song lyric, or smell something that reminds you of a certain memory, right? And that will help you interpret what the energy is. And that is the way that I can read for you. So I can feel and see. I feel and see a lot of things. Like those are the clairs that are most easy to me. I sometimes do smell stuff or have this inner knowing. The more that you learn to trust it, the more that you start to work with the other clairs that are available to you. And yeah, that's how I can understand like where you're at in life. I can read like what you might not be seeing, but what is in your energy. And I can describe what kind of person you are, what you're going through right now. And sometimes I also see like where you are going or what you can start to do to change a certain situation in the right direction, or maybe what you should avoid, right? And that is what psychics do. And so to be able to trust a psychic, they also have to give you specific points that are very clearly you. Not all psychics can do this. There are psychics who keep their messages very vague. I don't think that they're psychics. I just think that they can guess really well. Let's just put it like that. And reading energy is a real skill, because when you're receiving these messages through the 5 clairs, and this is where it gets practical, I can imagine you're being like, whoa, okay, sure. I had that exact same reaction the first time that I learned it at that course. And then I got to actually do it. And I want to tell you a little bit about my first reading that I gave, which was wild. So we said across from each other, we were going to practice on someone that you didn't know, because otherwise, how could you like start to receive these messages? How could you interpret the energy if you already knew that person, right? You already know some stuff about this person. And so you were going to use that information, right? So you had to be across from someone that you didn't know. And then we connected with each other's energy, and I just had to start saying what I was feeling, hearing, seeing, smelling, the 5 clairs. I just have to start talking. Like, am I going to come up with this weird story that is not going to be right? And we had to say yes or no if the thing that I was saying actually was true or not. And then I started to see something. So there is a process that we use to connect with someone's energy, and this is something that I can teach you as well. But basically we did that, and then I saw my old school as an image in my mind. I was like, what is with this school, right? And I was feeling that this person wanted to be more creative. Those were all like things that I could relate to as well, but they were things that I was randomly seeing and feeling. So that's what I said. I was like, okay, I'm seeing a school and I'm feeling someone who is not really content maybe with their job anymore. They want to use more creativity. And the person in front of me said, yes, that's right. And it was wild to me. It was like, what is happening? Is this really true? And so it turned out that she was a teacher. And later she also got a burnout. That's kind of the way that I started with that. You can imagine that you are going to be afraid that you're going to mess it up, that you're just going to tell some story, right? And so what our teacher told us is that you have to also get a lot of no's from the person in front of you. So you're going to differentiate what you just made up and what is a message that you received. And so when you are receiving a message and you saying like, I'm seeing this, I'm feeling this, and you are getting a no, you will also recognize how that felt receiving that message. Because it's different from actually receiving a message. I hope you're still following. You can make up a story, and that feels a lot different than actually receiving a message. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. And I practiced this a lot, and I got it wrong a few times as well. And so I can feel whenever I am making up a story or when I'm actually receiving a message. And the more that you trust receiving those messages, the easier they're going to come through. So that's reading for someone else. That's kind of connecting with someone else's energy. You only do this when you have permission, right? It costs a lot of energy. It costs a lot of concentration. I think that it's one of the gifts that makes me a really good coach, because I also can see beyond what someone is telling me and kind of feel like what someone is not seeing, what is also present with them. And that's not something to be scared of. I think that a lot of people can also like see what's going on without someone saying it, right? It just goes a little deeper, but I only do that when I get the permission. And so when you are going to learn how to be a psychic, I hope that the psychics that you're working with or that you're trusting also have these values, right? To only read for someone when they have their permission. I certainly work that way. I don't do it if someone doesn't want me to, because privacy, right? But learning how to interpret energy can also really help in relationships. It's about reading in between the lines, right? It's connecting on a soul level, because you can truly see each other from soul to soul as well, instead of from the mind making up stories, coming up with assumptions. And I think it's really lovely if I also have a friend who is also psychic, and we have the best conversations, the most deep connection. It's very loving. We can also pinpoint out things that the other person is not seeing, and with permission. We don't always want that, right? So being like, oh, you know what I'm seeing for you. Yeah, it's really fun to be able to read for my friends and stuff. And I also do pick a card readings on YouTube. If you didn't know, now you know. And I also started to do readings for you guys. So if you want a reading, you can check it on my website. But what I'm most excited about is that I'm going to teach you how to do this yourself. Because I don't want you to be dependent on someone else, whether that is a psychic or a coach, to be honest. I think having someone outside of you point things out that you're not seeing, to work with your subconscious mind, like that is so valuable, and I definitely still do that. But what are you going to do when that coach is not available? And I think that a beautiful way to trust yourself on a really deep level and to kind of always feel okay, that's what I've been able to achieve by listening to my inner wisdom, to my own intuition. So not psychic work, but to listen to your own soul. So this is different. Why is this different? Well, you're not connecting with someone else's soul and getting messages, or a soul that has passed on. You're actually connecting with your own soul. So your own soul wisdom. And like I said before, this soul already knows everything that you're going through because it's you, but they don't see the limitations. They see the opportunities and the lesson. They know where you're going, and they know what you have to let go. It can be very confronting to speak with your soul, because they already can see through your own bullshit, because that's your mind getting in the way. It's very clear on what you like and what you don't like. It's clear on where you want to be going and how to get there. It truly cuts through the fluff. And because it's so loving and encouraging, it's your cheerleader. It doesn't get mad if you kind of go the wrong way. It even says like there is no wrong way because you're always learning. And that's why I love working with the soul. When you are tapped into the soul, you feel at peace, you feel love, a lot of clarity, and you can also feel a lot of energy because when you are working on the things that you love to work on, and things that you really want to do, you get energy from that. And so I've been near burnout a few times in my life. And what has pulled me out of that is connecting with my soul, and my soul telling me, you should probably try this or you should do this. And just focusing my energy on what made me happy and what is going to make me grow, right? And it has helped me grow so much. It has made me want to make some pretty difficult decisions as well. But because I was talking to my soul about it, it was very clear that that was what I was supposed to do. You know, when you are consulting other people about this big problem and then you get all these different opinions and you're just like, okay, so-and-so says this and so-and-so says this, but I'm actually feeling like this. Like, what am I supposed to do now? It gets really confusing. If you are tapped into your soul, you can for sure feel what it is that you need to do. Like, there are no questions about it because you can feel it within your soul. And that's kind of the wisdom that's about your path. It's not about someone else's path. It's about your path, right? So it's very empowering. And then when I made those decisions, I grew with such speed. And there were so many fears that I first had and doubts that were cleared away. And I manifested jobs, people, like love, all these opportunities that came to me because I decided that I was going to get out of my own way. But only because I was brave enough to listen to my soul. And then there were other times that I did not listen to my intuition, to my own soul. I can remember one time when I was talking to a guy and I really liked him, but I wasn't sure about him. And then my intuition said, like, dangerous. Just only that word. I was like, dangerous? Why? Like, he's so funny and sweet. And what is possibly dangerous about this guy? Well, let me tell you, he was dangerous, which I later found out. But then, like, I didn't get myself in any unsafe situations, thank God. But yeah, we did find out that situations was not right for me. I also was friends with someone that had a lot of stuff going on, and that also didn't end very well for me because, you know, hurt people. And the first time that I was like really with them, I went back to my home. I went back home and I started crying on my way home because I felt so drained and so sad. That was my intuition conveying to me how that person actually was feeling. And I should have listened to that because I went to spend a lot more time with this person and they drained the hell out of me. And it was not healthy for me at the end. And so your body, your intuition will signal to you. That is that feeling, right? That was feeling. And dangerous was a word that I was hearing. Your intuition is always trying to protect you. Your mind as well, but your mind is doing it in a different way, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, listen to not the last episode, but the episode before that. So episode 23, I talk about this a lot, like how the mind is trying to keep us safe and in a comfort zone. Your intuition is giving you information that you didn't know before, because that's your soul. Your soul is kind of all-knowing and already sees the things that you're not seeing. That is why I work with the soul. I have some other crazy experiences with my intuition. I'm trying to think of something else, but like these are the two like very clear ones. Oh yeah, I'm going to only talk about like my romantic encounters in this one book, but it's so clear. So I think I also talked about this in episode 2. Are standards too high? But I ran into this guy and we were like, hi, I am, let's call him Brad. Name isn't Brad. I was like, hi, I'm Amber. And we shook hands and I was like, I know you from something. And I didn't. But it was like, it sounds so corny, but it was like from a past life or whatever. I just felt like I know you already. And then we also had a brief romantic something. And that was kind of my soul like signaling to me like, yeah, you are supposed to have a chapter in your life story with this person, which was pretty special as well. I could not have predicted that. I was just like, hi, whoa, what am I feeling? Then he went to ask me out and whatever. Then also, when my grandfather passed away 3 weeks ago, that was also quite a special moment. So I already told you about how my grandmothers are with me. I can communicate with them sometimes. They're not very vocal, to be honest. It's more like a loving presence, like an angel on my shoulder. And so my grandpa was already almost gone. Let's just put it that. And I was actually really sick. So I was hesitant to, like, I had said goodbye before, but I was like, I do maybe want to say goodbye again, but I'm not sure because I'm like really sick and I'm not feeling well. And then my grandma, when it was evening already, I didn't go because I didn't feel very well. My grandma was like, I am going to get him, basically. That's how she said it. And I was like, oh shit, like now? So I went to say goodbye one more time to him, very shortly, because he was also going to sleep, as it was in the evening. And so I got to say my last goodbye to him, and then the next morning he passed away. And so my grandma kind of gave me a heads up so I could still say goodbye one last time. And I think if I didn't do that, if I hadn't listened to my grandma saying that to me, I would have had regretted it. My mom actually also had a beautiful experience where she heard from her intuition the date that he was going to pass. Like 3 weeks in advance before he passed, she got this date repeated every time, like almost every day. And then he did pass away on that date. Very crazy as well. So yeah, those are some of the communication that I have with my own soul, with the channeling that I do, and the mediumship that I can do. Like I said, we all have these abilities. I didn't use them until I was 17. I think 17 is a good age to start exploring those gifts, which we all have. I also think that it's good to learn a lot about these things because there is a lot of stigma around it. People can teach all kinds of things, but you want to know if their intentions are pure, and to always read with discernment. Also, if you are receiving messages from a psychic or a medium, you start to work with someone, always know that you have free will. Like what they're saying is not the truth, it's a truth. Because things can change, you have free will, you can do whatever you want. If someone is saying like this is going to happen, it doesn't have to happen because you still have free will, you can change that. And that's why I would recommend also listening to your own soul, because you know what is best. You always know what is best. And someone can tell you that they know better. I think that that's not true. I think that you know what is best. And so I want to invite you to work with me to learn these things. If you want to know more, I would love to explain more to you. I'm also going to be giving, I think, a group course on this in January. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'm going to share a little bit more along these weeks, upcoming weeks leading up to that about this. So if you already have questions for me about this, please let me know. I would love to answer them. And I hope that this was a practical episode where you learned a lot about it. I hope that I explained it in a way that made sense to you. If anything doesn't make sense, please let me know. That I can work on that as well, because it is very practical and I would love for you to work more with it because it's super empowering and it helps you trust yourself more and it helps you to break through your own, like I said, your own bullshit, because your mind can get in the way. but your soul already knows what is going on and what is best for you, and it wants to help you, and it's super loving. And your mind sometimes just wants to hold you back. And the soul also leads with love, and so it can help you forgive. It can help you release what is not yours, what you have been carrying. It's very protective over your own energy. So if you're going to start working with your soul, you will also learn how to set boundaries and let go of the things that aren't good for you. Because your soul is not going to allow you to, well, it is because you have free will, but it's going to encourage you to let the heavy stuff, the unhealthy stuff go. And sometimes we're not even seeing what those unhealthy things are. And I think that the soul is the best guide in showing us. And what I love most about the soul is that it will show you who you can become. So we have an image of who we're supposed to be and like the future version of us that we would really want to become. But then there's the soul that shows us like, yeah, that's like one ideal version, but have you thought of this, this, and this, and this, and this? And it can expand your mind to dream even bigger. And then the soul will also show you like, yeah, it's possible in this way, and it will guide you towards it. So it's going to open your mind up to so many more possibilities, and love yourself even more and take care of you even more. Like, I can not explain how beautiful it is to work with your own soul, but I'm going to stop now because I could go on and on and on. Just know that you're good enough already. Your soul knows that, and listen to your own soul because you know what is best. I hope that resonated with you. Like I said, if you have questions, let me know. Love you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Also, if you want to work with me, link is in the description.